And hello out there, all you Stay Tuners. Welcome back to another episode of Stay Tuned Sports. It's your good friend Jimbo signing in here. Welcome to episode number 23, and we're still going on strong. I'm not sure how many this is in a row, but that was one thing that we said. We're gonna make sure we consistently do this every week, and I actually saw King last weekend. He's doing good. He's hoping in the next couple weeks, possibly coming back, and so me and him could do a show together, and hopefully he'll keep going on. Kind of a quiet week in sports, but kind of not. Nothing really big other than Raiders unloading all their players from their team. He had bare knuckle boxing last Saturday. Some upsets in college football we'll talk about, as well as MMA news, possibly a first ever in combat sports. But before we get all into that, we'll do our weekly, timely social media follows. You can follow me at Jimbo ST Sports. You can follow King at King of Skunk Duck. Over there, he has some shirts for sale on Teespring. And for all you Devils fans, especially you females, he has a t-shirt out there for Sebastian Dia, or D. Never really figured out how to say his last name. I mean, he played for the Baby Pens up here in Wilkes-Barre. I always called him Dia, because that's what I thought it was. But you can also follow the show at ST Sports Podcast as well on Twitter, and follow us over at Facebook, like us, share us, do all that fun stuff. But kind of getting into the show, like I mentioned, there was a lot of upsets, some pretty big upsets that I didn't even know about. I believe till late Saturday or Sunday morning when I woke up, because like I said, I went out to see King, hung out with him Saturday, watched the Flyers-Devils game, and Flyers won, so that was a good night for me. He had to hear me gloat and everything. But big upset with the Ohio State game. I mean, who saw that coming? Ohio State lost to Purdue 49-20. I mean, it wasn't even close. And this, like I said last week, with the Georgia game, helped out Notre Dame. Notre Dame moved up from 4-3, as well as Clemson, and basically the top 3 through 9 all moved up one spot because of Ohio State, and Makes you wonder, does Ohio State still have a chance to make the playoffs? Once again, Alabama's on a bye this week, but played Tennessee last week, and 58-21. I mean, come on now. And it's funny because they're blowing out all these scrub teams and still sitting at number 1, but yet you have Clemson, who beat a ranked team, number 16, North Carolina State, and not just beat them, embarrassed them, 41-7. So why are they not even getting any first place votes or anything? It's all Alabama. But anyways, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be biased towards Bama, but I do have a little hatred for them, aka 2012. But Michigan, luckily, helping Notre Dame out, they won. Oklahoma destroyed TCU. But as far as this week, just looking at the rankings, the schedules, whatever you want to, however you guys look at it, there's really only 3 or 4 top 25 ranked games that could be good games. But then again, like with Ohio State last week against Purdue, who wasn't ranked, there could be a lot more upsets. This could be another upset week. But as far as the top 25 games, we got number 9 Florida going up against Georgia. If Georgia loses, I mean, you would think Georgia would win this game, but if Georgia loses, they would have to be done. They would have to be completely out of the playoff contention, which I think they announced the playoff rankings after this week's games, because I think it was 2 weeks ago. They said it was 2 weeks from then. But if they win, I can't see them getting back in the top 4. Maybe 5, depending on, well, Michigan's on a bye this week. Texas is playing Oklahoma State. I mean, theoretically, yeah, I could see Georgia moving up to number 5. But I'm going to go with Florida. I see a lot of times this past couple of years that these top 4 teams, once they lose, a heartbreak or whatever, they just can't recover, and they just fall out of the contention, fall out of top 10. What was it, a couple of years ago? Michigan or Michigan State had the quickest drop from the top 25. I think they were like 2 or 3, and they dropped out of top 25 within 3 weeks, just because, again, they couldn't rebound from a loss. But I'm gonna go with Florida, just because, again, it doesn't affect Notre Dame if Georgia loses. But I kind of like Florida more than Georgia. Georgia's not an Alabama. Like, I don't hate them, but just something about them I just leaves it like a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know about you guys out there, but I'm sorry for our Georgia fans, but so I'm going Florida this week. Then the next game we got is number 24 Stanford versus number 14 Washington State. I'm going to go with another upset here. I'm going to go with Stanford, and I may even say Stanford by, let's go with 17. I'm going to say Stanford wins by 17. If that were to happen, I would say that probably would jump them up to possibly, definitely, 18, 19. Definitely in the top 20. Then we got Penn State versus Iowa. Now, Penn State, with a 2-loss, that they have to be not even considered being able to make the playoffs even if they run the table. I mean, a two-loss team, should not be eligible. I mean, I could see a 1-loss team depending on how they lost and to who. And with that being said, Iowa has 1 loss. I'm going for Iowa just because Penn State has always been my, even though we don't play them every year, but our rivalry. Even though I'm from Pennsylvania, I always root for Notre Dame, and I always root against Penn State. Not because of the Sandusky thing, or some of the college football fans want to root against because of that, but I just don't like them. They leave more than just a bad taste in my mouth. I just don't like them. So I'm hoping Iowa pulls out the win. This game actually, I think, could be a good game. I think it could be a 3-point type game, very close. I'm not sure what time this one's on, but I may, if it's on early in the afternoon, I might put it on, because Notre Dame don't play till 8 o'clock at night against against Navy. Yeah, that's right. For some reason I think it was Western. Against Navy, which this could be another Pittsburgh game. Navy always plays us tough no matter what the record is, but especially the past couple years, Navy has been a lot better team. I don't want to say a very good team, but I think towards the end of last year they ended up getting ranked. They were pretty close. I just hope that the offense gets back to clicking, the defense keeps playing as well as they have been playing, because that last game against Pittsburgh, that defense kept Notre Dame in that game. Until finally the offense was able to start clicking and Book was able to start moving the ball a little bit. But hopefully this is a blowout for Notre Dame. And speaking of the Notre Dame-Navy rivalry, it got announced today, a few hours ago, that Notre Dame and Navy are going back to Ireland to play a game. It's going to happen in 2020, which means I have 2 years to save up roughly about $4,500 to go over and see this game. I mean, that would be freaking awesome if I could pull it off, but it's going to be tough. You know how bills and life goes. But both teams came out today saying that they're going to return to Ireland in 2020. They're going to be playing at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland. Hopefully Conor McGregor don't show up and throw some dollies at them or whatever his new thing's going to be. But the other thing too that this may benefit Notre Dame is they're moving this game up a week. So instead of happening September 5th, it's going to happen August 29th. Sounds like it's going to be the first game of the season. And the one problem that the Navy always gave Notre Dame was their style of offense. And by moving it up a week, it gives Notre Dame pretty much the off season to prepare for the Navy's triple option. And the last time was in 2012 that we played them over in Ireland. We won, I think it was like 50-10 or 50-12, something like that. And I'd be willing to bet that, extra week, or I'm sorry, the off season helped them out a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see. The article that I read it from was on ESPN, and they also had the rest of Notre Dame's schedule for that year. And one of my underdog teams I always root for is Duke, and they play Duke also, but that's on Halloween, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to sneak away to go see that game, because I always wanted to go down to North Carolina to see Duke play also. I don't know how many guys out there used to play NCAA for PlayStation, Xbox, whatever game console, but I used to always take Duke because they were always ranked dead last and big bro powerhouse. But I'm really excited about this, so it's gonna be interesting to see over Ireland. I kind of remember the 2012 game. That was the year that Notre Dame ended up going on the undefeated streak run and making the championship, and then getting absolutely demolished by Alabama. But so that's going to happen 2020, and hopefully Stay Tuned Sports and King and myself are still around, and maybe we'll be able to do like a special episode or something like that. Moving on to some NFL talk. Like I said, it was kind of a quiet week, but we also had some trades. We had Oakland trade Amari Cooper to the Dallas Cowboys for a first-round draft pick, and a lot of people were against this. And I'm definitely against giving any type of first round picks for any player, unless you are a Tom Brady, Drew Brees, in your late 20s, like the prime of your career. Cooper's knock is, drop balls, Doesn't really play up to his potential. Coming out of, I believe he went to Alabama. He was supposed to be, a Julio Jones or someone that was consistently could change the game, and it just seemed like he never did in Oakland. And then John Gruden came in this past year as the new head coach and just started unloading players. He had Khalil Mack. A few weeks back, I got traded to the Bears for a first rounder, or maybe it was two. I forget exactly what that trade was. But now the Dallas Cowboys, like I said, give a first round draft pick. The last time they did anything like that was the Roy Williams trade from Detroit. That one, man, was that a bad trade. He just never panned out. I think he only lasted 2 or 3 years in Dallas and then just finally disappeared. I don't even know if he officially retired or anything. But the other trade that Dallas did in the past for a wide receiver with first round draft picks was the Joey Galloway trade. Now, a lot of people are comparing this trade, being a bad trade, which I think is a bad trade. I think Oakland got the better end of the deal here. They're comparing this trade to Joey Galloway and the Roy Williams trade. Now, I'll agree with comparing it to the Roy Williams trade, but I thought Joey Galloway, and this is coming from an Eagles fan, I thought Joey Galloway panned out for the Cowboys. Just remembering him play against the Eagles, there was a couple of games that he changed the game on us. We just couldn't cover him and would score on us left and right. Is Amari Cooper going to do that against us? Well, with how our corners are playing, probably. I'm hoping that Philly trades for a corner. And I know Patrick Peterson, his name got put out there a couple of days ago about wanting a trade, and I was really excited that maybe Philly could go after him. But earlier today, he came out and said that him and Arizona sat down, they talked, and he doesn't want to be traded now. So I would love to know what that conversation was. But on top of the Amari Cooper trade, and getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys, the Giants, I don't know if they're in full fire sale mode, but they've been trading players. They traded Eli Apple to the Saints for, I think it was a fourth round pick or a third round pick, which, again, he was a first round pick for the Giants. It just seemed like he needed to change the scenery. Last year he got benched a couple times because of poor attitude or poor play, whatever you want to call it. So we'll see how he pans out with the Saints. And then yesterday, Damian Snack Harris was traded from the Giants to the Lions for a 5th round pick. And I gotta laugh because it officially went through today. Today's Thursday. And they said when he ended up going to his locker, there was a shoebox full of snacks because, like I said, his nickname is Snacks. So it's good to see the team is definitely embracing him coming, and it's gonna be curious to see how he helps Detroit's defense, because Detroit's run defense isn't the greatest. I think they said they were giving up 6 or 7 yards a rush, which if I would have known that, I would have been picking up every other running back whoever played them. So we still have another week. Probably is Tuesday is the trade deadline. So next Thursday when we record, we'll probably be talking a lot of exciting news and maybe some more players getting moved. I know I saw Shady's name is back up there about getting traded. Deshaun Jackson's name's up there about getting traded. And a lot of people are linking Philly to Deshaun, which I wouldn't be against having him back, but we don't need him. We need defense help. If the Giants are in full-blown fire sale, I would call and find out how much it would take to get Collins, their safety. You know, I think Malcolm Jenkins has a lot on his plate playing safety. Have to worry about the corners in front of him, and I like Jalen Mills, but he needs to get put back in the slot. He's not an outside cornerback. I know Sidney Jones, I believe, is a little banged up, so that's probably why he hasn't been playing out there that much. But I still think they could give Rasheed Douglas a chance out there and leave Maddox back at safety for now, unless they get some help through the trade marker or whatnot. Once we get our defense figured out, then I think the season will turn around for us, and we'll go from there. But it does sound like that the Giants are not going to trade Eli Manning. And I talked to King a little bit about this. I asked him, do you think Eli is going to be done after this year with all this stuff that's going on this season? And he thinks he is, and I have to kind of agree. It's just, what's the point of coming back to get beat up, and when the team is rebuilding, by the time they're ready to go, your career is going to be done. He only has, if he sticks around, he only has maybe 2 years left. It's better to get out now instead of staying too long and getting basically punch drunk, because that line is not helping him at all. So, other than all that with the NFL, I'm gonna do my my weekly picks, my locks, my upsets, and for shits and giggles, I'm gonna pick the Thursday night game tonight, so that way you guys can laugh at me. Because by the time I get this done and edit and all that stuff, it should be available to listen to maybe by halftime of that game. So right now, Houston is favored over the Dolphins. I think Tannehill is still out. With Houston's defense, with J.J. Watt and Clowney, Deshaun Watson's playing good. I'm gonna go with Houston. I'm gonna go with Houston by 10. Even though the spread's 7.5, I'm gonna go by 10. I'm not even gonna pick the Eagles-Jaguars game, because that game has potential to be a total disaster. They're playing over in London, which kind of sucks, because I'll have to get up at I think the game's at like 9:30. Yeah, 9:30 in the morning, and I'll be probably going to bed at 4 in the morning the night before. Sorry, I have a little cold. For my lock of the week, I am going to pick the Chiefs over the Broncos. Chiefs are favored by 10, and with how the Chiefs have been playing, and Patrick Mahomes has been slinging the ball around like it's the Madden game on rookie. Broncos having problems at quarterback. Really, I think the only thing they got going for them on offense is Lindsey, their running back, their rookie running back. Freeman, their other running back, is hurt, so they're facing some injury concerns. Defense isn't playing as well as they used to. I think this has over within the first 10 minutes of the first quarter. Like, this could be ugly. That's going to be my lock of the week. And then my upset of the week, I'm going with the rematch between the Browns and the Steelers. Right now, the Steelers are a 9-point favorite. I think that's very high. I think this is going to be a 3-point game again. Maybe even another overtime game. But I'm going to go with the Browns this week. I'm going to go with the Browns 17, Steelers 14. And then for my blowout of the week, even though I said the Chiefs were going to be the a big win. I'm going to go with the Rams over the Packers. Right now, the Rams are roughly looking at a 9.5 point favorite. They're just too high. I mean, they're starting to get up there with, for like me personally. They're starting to get up there with the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, all those guys. The only difference is this Rams team has a defense. That Rams team had an okay defense. This has a defense. So I think it's going to be a blowout. I'll go with Rams up by 20. Even though it's like I said, 9.5 point favorite, I still think it's going to be bigger than that outcome. So that's going to do it for the weekly football picks. To finish off the show, I want to talk a little bit about something that came out, I think it was 2 days ago, with in the MMA sports community. Quite possibly the first ever trade in combat sports between fighters. So what it is Demetri Johnson is fights for the UFC, and Ben Askren fights for one championship. And what came out, the story got broke by Ariel Helwani, was that UFC is looking to trade Demetri Johnson for one championship's Ben Askren. Now, Demetri Johnson has been probably the best pound for pound fighter out there, definitely greatest flyweight champion ever out there. Ben Askren is a two-promotion champion. He fought in Bellator. I think he's in the 170-pound division. Lightweight, I think it is. And he won the lightweight championship belt for one championship earlier in this year, I believe it was, and ended up retiring because there's no one else out there for him to beat. He beat everybody. He said the only way he would unretire is a fight with GSP, George St. Pierre. So with that laid down, here is basically how this would go down. So UFC is talking to one championship about this potential quote trade. Now, how it's going to have to happen, if it does happen, is UFC would have to release Demetri Johnson from his contract, so he's able to sign with anybody, aka one championship, and then one championship would have to do the same thing to Ben Askren. This is why I think there's going to be a union for MMA within the next 5 to 10 years, because the promotions hold all the cards. They tell a fighter when he fights. They tell them how much they're going to make for that fight. And if the fighter is not happy with the contract or whatever and asks for his release, he can't go anywhere else. But here it is, UFC, if this goes through, and a lot of people think this is going to be a one and done type situation, if this goes through, you're going to see more of this. Especially if UFC, I believe they partially own Invicta. You're going to see this happen between promotions, and it might be interesting. I just a little cautious about it. Now, a lot of questions from fans and even some sports writers about this type of situation that's going on. You know, what does this mean for the fighters, the promotions? Well, like I said about the promotions, you may see this happen more often if this all works out for all the parties involved. Now, the one question I keep seeing is if Demetrius Johnson gets traded, or however you want to say it, does that mean the 125 pound division in the UFC is done. Quite frankly, I would say it's done. I know there's some people out there, some writers saying, it's not done, you can't give it up. You gotta keep going with it. You got Henry Cujo as the champion right now, even though he wants to move up to fight TJ Dillashaw. When they first came about, they were actually pretty entertaining. They were quick. You're not going to see a lot of knockouts, but they were entertaining. And for some reason, this past couple of years, kind of got boring, stagnant. So I could really see that this would be the end of the 125 division. And leading up to the 125 division coming in, I start to feel like they're starting to get, with UFC, too many belts out there. They're starting to turn into boxing where, you got flyweight, you got super flyweight, you got super flyweight. Like, there were just too many belts in boxing. Now, if they get rid of the 125, I think you're going to see a new division. I know Dustin Poirier and the one Diaz brother was campaigning for a 165 division, which a lot of the fighters that fight at 155 and 170 have a hard time making weight because either they got to cut too much weight or they're too heavy, and that 165 obviously be right in the middle and would be perfect for them. So with this if this does go down, because it's not official yet, no one got released from contracts, even though Ben Askren's taking a lot of shots at a lot of the UFC fighters in his division. It sounds like he's not going to fight GSP right off the bat. Dana White came out and said that GSP, if he wants to fight Khabib, he would have to fight someone in the top 5 to get a chance at the title for Khabib. Now, who else is there to fight Ben Askren? The only fighter that I saw respond to Ben Askren's comments or beefs or whatever you want to call it was Darren Till. I think that would be an awesome first fight to watch. Darren Till, he likes to stand and bang. He has good wrestling. Ben Askren, I think, has a lot better wrestling than Darren Till, but I think it would still be a good fight watching it to see if Askren can get in close enough to take him down to the ground. So, as far as, again, with this trade going on, I hope it's a one and done unless a union gets started, so that way it can get a little bit more fair grounds for the fighters. They get paid a little bit better. I just hope that if they do get a union, it's not like the NFL where every 6-7 years there might be a work stoppage or something like that. But so I think that's going to do it for us this week. I want to thank everyone for coming out and listening. And real quick, I meant to do this at the top of the show, but I forgot to. Don't know if you guys seen this past week. I know we don't talk about wrestling on here, but Roman Reigns from the WWE announced that his leukemia has been back. Roman, wish you the best of luck. You got this. I know you can beat this. Good luck, buddy. So, with that being all said, you can follow me on Twitter at Jimbo ST Sports. You can follow King at King of Skunk Duck, and you can follow us, the show, at Stay Tuned Sports Podcast. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. ST Sports Podcast. You can also check us out on Facebook. You can listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn. If there's any other ones that you guys want to hear us from, shoot us a message on Twitter or on Facebook, and we'll definitely work on getting that worked out. So with that being said, this is your good friend Jimbo signing out. See ya.